all right, welcome to Vikas web channel, and this video is all about mapping, filtering and reducing. You heard it right, mapping, filtering and reducing. And I choose this map, filter and reduce because if you are dealing with anything related to JavaScript, it can be React, it can be Vue, it can be even Node, Express. You will need this, okay? And personally, I have used map and filter a lot in React. In Vue, usually there is this before and similar concept of map there, and then filter in especially redux when I have to delete something, pop something out from there. In compared to map and filter, I haven't used reduce that much, but still this is something you will be seeing a lot and a lot. For example, if you need to combine something to one, then that's where you will be using reduce. So if you are in the journey of learning JavaScript, or if you are in the journey of starting React or Vue, I would still recommend you to watch this if you don't know this already, because trust me, you will be using them a lot and it will make your overall React learning journey or Vue learning journey or overall JavaScript learning journey much easier. If that sounds nice, please hit the like button so that other will also get to see this video. And if you are new to this channel and if you like content related to web development, definitely you need to subscribe my channel. With that being said, let's start the video. All right, so here we are. Basically, I have this index.html and I'm just calling app.js there, and then I have this app.js, pretty plain JavaScript file. And I have this browser. The reason why I did it is it's much better to see things in browser console. That's all. You can do it in terminal however you like. So first thing first, we'll be dealing with map, okay? And for that, let's go and let's create an array. Okay, so some dummy array. And for that, I will go here and let's new array. We can call it, we can also do it const, doesn't matter. So 1 3 5 7 9, I'll just have this. So the length of this array is 5, as you can see. So I have a scenario where I need to, let's say, have an array. So let's say I need a scenario where I need a new array, and that array needs to basically have each item of this new array. Let's just call test array. So the new array needs to have basically exact same item, same length, everything of test array, but each item needs to get double. Okay, so I don't know if I explained that clearly or not, but it should look like something like this: 2 6 10 14 and then 18. So you see, double of 1 is 2, double of 3 is 6, and so forth. So we need to create some new array like this. So how can you do that? Well, there are different approaches. So first thing, let's use for loop, our famous for loop. I don't know why it keeps on giving me for. So we have a for loop where we will be looping inside each item and then multiplying that by 2 and then returning that into a new array, and then we will have that new array with exactly how we want. So let's see that in action first of all. So I will call a function, and that function will be get well let's not call a function. Let's well, I'm confused. Anyway, let's make a function. So the function will be double, and the double will have, let's just use short form of numbers times 2. So if you don't know what it is, this is basically a function, arrow function, and I'm just returning only one thing, so I can write everything in one line. And if you are still confused with this and if you don't know what is this, so then better you watch my another video where I'm showing you different ways of creating and using JavaScript functions. So I think that will explain you, and then you can come back and continue with this video. So now all it does is it expects some number and it multiplies it by 2, and that's why it's called double function. So let's go inside for loop, and before that let's create new array, and that array will be basically this. Okay, I don't know why I did late, but anyway. So now let's go here, and I have an I here, and then that will be less than our array.length, because I started with 0. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the length is 5. So okay, and then I plus plus. And what is happening here is because I need to give I equals to 0, and let's do this. Okay, so here what I need to do is it will run 5 times, because we will be testing it starting from 0 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so first thing what we need to do is we do new array dot push. So we will be pushing things too, and what we will push there, we will push there things from test array, and initially it will be I. Okay, so you see when we do test array I, it's a basic thing about arrays. So we will be getting, initially we have 0, so we will get this, and then the loop will run again, and that time this I will be 1, and then we will get this and this and this and this, and our loop will end. Okay, so this is the value of this, and then we can do times 2, and all that does is it does double, basically the same thing we are doing here. Okay, that is one way we can do it. Another we can do is we can use this function. We can use double, and this double expects number, and that number will be our test array, and then we'll pass I there. So now all we can do is, if we go here console log, and let's say new array with double value, and then so that will be our new array. So let's save this and let's see. So now you see we have a new array, and this array is, it has 2, 6, 10, 14, 18. So basically exactly the same thing that we were expecting. You see, we can still do things from looping way, but why to do it when we already have some method to do that? Okay, so we have some function, high order function or whatever you call it. So that's where we will use map. Okay, so this is only about doubling, but there can be situation where we just want to add plus. Okay, so instead of double we just want to add plus, or we can basically do anything with our function and then pass that function, and then it will do anything. Now let's do the similar thing but using map this time. Okay, so now what we can do is let's comment this out so we can reference it later. And here, instead of let new array, what we can do is, instead of having a new array here, we can do test array, and if you do dot, you will get all these things, sort, you know, splice, slice, shift, reverse, reduce, push. But there is something called map. So here inside map, all I need to do is just pass double here, and what this does is, this is a function. So this function will take each item inside as argument and then do whatever it is asking it to do. So if we save this and if we go here, you can see that we have 2, 6, 10, 14 and 18, just like how we want it. I know this sounds pretty confusing, so instead of doing this, let's make it a little bit easier, or I don't know. So what it does is, it has a function, and that function you can call it even function like this. I told you I have a separate video about how you can call function different ways, so I will still go with arrow function here. So here we can have something called element. You can give it any name. I usually give it item. I use, it can be anything. I give it number, anything. So but just to understand, let's give it element. And what is this element is, you see I'm using an arrow function. Let me make it a little bit easier. So now we can do with anything with this element. And what is this element? This element is, because we are mapping it, so every time, just like our for loop, we had I and we were doing this test array.I. So initially it will be 1 and then 3 and then 5 and 7. So this element is basically the same thing as test array and I. Okay, so at first it will be 1, second it will be 3 and 5 and 7 and 9 and so on. So we will get its element when we use Array.map. Okay, and we can do anything with that element. Okay, in our case we have number, but I will do another example with object. Okay, so now with that element we can do its element and then time 2. All right, so if I do this, we don't even need this function here. I can completely shut it down, and now you see we have the same value. So this is what the map does. So map returns a new array using the values from any given array, and also by doing something to it if we want to. For example, if we don't want anything, if we just want to return exactly the same element, then it just copies the array to new array. So you see we have a new array and it has 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. If you want to -1 from here, and if you do it, then you see it will take 1 away from each of them. So it will subtract 1 from each element. So basically anything we like to do it, we can. So if we want to add some text here, let's say text, then we will have 1 text, 3 text, 5 text, 7 text. Let's see. So you see we have 1 text, 3 text, 5 text, 7 text, 9 text. So basically you can do anything to it, and it will do for the same logic for each of the item, and that item can be element, it can be just I. For example, here we can just give I. This name really doesn't matter because that's something you will be giving. Okay, so now let's do mapping with a little bit complex example. I wouldn't say complex, but complex object. Let's call it complex array. The reason why I call it complex array is because we will have now a little bit more here. So let's say name, and name can be my name here. Okay, so now instead of this new array and mapping and everything, let's delete everything for now. Okay, so we have a case here, and we need a new array where we will have basically same items, same number of items, but we need to have the first name and last name combined, and then we also need as it is. Okay, so how to do this now? You see, when we start doing for loop here, it will get a bit complicated. So let's do the same thing. Form a new array with objects, and that has full name, or instead of that we can even call it name or full name. So how we need is, we need, let's say example, array with full name, or we can even call it full name array. And what it needs is, it needs something similar. Okay, I will just do for 1, and it will have a full name. And okay, let's do that, the full name, and that full name will be, so Ani last name, that will be full name here. And then is 70, so we also need the age thing. So we want something like this, but with all the items. I just didn't do all items here, but You will see when we do it with mapping. Okay, and then the next task we need is we need to change our first name and last name's initial to capital, or I mean uppercase. So for that, let's call const, and we have full name array, and now we will be using this complex array. I don't know why I called it complex, but it looks complex, right? So we do map here, and you see inside here now we didn't have it as it was before. We didn't have this simple 1 3, but when we say here item, we can even call it person, because you see inside our this test array we had number, each number as an item, whereas in this we have this each object of this person as an item. So that is what this person means. That person means this one, and since we are mapping, so it goes first to this, and then to this, and then to this, and then to this, and to the last. Okay, so now when we have this person, what we want is, I think we need to do a little bit more than just returning one statement. So I will use this curly braces, so that way I can do a lot of things inside as I want, and then at last I can return one value. And if you are not familiar with this approach of arrow function and all sort of functions, then I have a separate video I've been telling in this video, so I think by now you know it. So first thing, let's create a new object, okay, or new person, and that new person will be an object, and that object needs to now has full name. Okay, so and then it also requires age, because that's what we are expecting here, you see. So the full name will be, you see, person dot, and you see there is first name plus, let's have a space, and then plus we have person dot last name. Now if you see this, so our this person is nothing other than this. So this is like our, actually our person is this. Okay, so this is our person. So that's why when we do person dot first name, we get the name Ani, and when we do person dot last name, we get this, and we are passing this in a new object, and that object will have something called full name by combining these two. Okay, then for age, all we need to do is, you can see already here, age. So this is our new person. Okay, and now since we are doing map, we need to return something, because we use curly bracket here. Previously we were just using a single in statement, but here we need a curly bracket. So we can do here is, I can say return new person. With this we will have a full name array, and that name will have all these items, so 5 items, although I have only one item here as an example, and that will have full name and last name. I mean full name combining first name and last name, and then age. Okay, well, definitely you can also write a separate function and then utilize that function. That is totally okay. But for now, let's just do this. This is much easier this way. And now console log, and let's say new array with full name, and here I will just pass full name array. And now let's save it, and let's go here, and you see we have a new array that also has 5 items, and you see inside each item we have an object, and you see there is full name because Doe, Daniel, you saw it. So this is how we have. Okay, so that is done, and I would like to give you a task. So this is a to do, you can call it a homework or task or whatever. So the task will be create a new array by mapping this complex array, and the result should look exactly how we have in full name array, except it should be, let's say the data should look like this. So example of the data, instead of this we need a capital A, and instead of it's lowercase l we need a capital, and that's why I was intentionally doing that. And you can use exactly the same logic. The only difference here is you need to use some function. You can create a function so that will capitalize the first letter. So you need to use some slicing and using two uppercase and like that. So that's a hint for you. Please do that, and if you do it in GitHub, comment it so that other can review it. So let's do that. I always like to give something to you, so it will be a little bit challenging for you. Of course, you can also paste all the code in comment if it is allowed. So that is to do. I will remove it from here. You can do it yourself. So with that, I think you understand now pretty nicely what is map, why do we need map, and we tried with complex. I know it took a while just with one thing, but I wanted to do it in a clear way and with practical example rather than just showing you something. And you see, when you go here, and there is already a nice documentation in MDN, but the problem is, at least for me, when I was running this, it was kind of confusing for me, all these callbacks and this argument and all these, what are these, but I have been using it now almost every day, and I don't need to think about what is this, index. I don't know what is this argument. I need to know it. Okay, basically index is if you have something here, and then you can also give something called index, and that index will be basically the I. So initially this will be 0 and 1 and like that. So but you will know it when you need it, trust me. So that's all for our mapping. Now let's go and let's filter it out. Okay, so I will still keep this function somewhere down there for filtering. So what is filtering? So filtering is a similar thing as map. In a sense, it will also create a new map, new array. Okay, but as the name suggests, it filters out. So if the filter logic, so we need to give some logic, okay, so something to filter out. So we need to say that from this array, please form a new array. But by doing this, for example, here what we can say is, please give me a new array that has value higher than 4. So okay, so new array from test array that has that contains value higher than 4. Okay, not 4 but higher than 4. And you see, if you create a new array now, so the example array will be something like this. So 1 is not higher than 4, 3 is not, so we have 5, 7 and 9. You see, this is also an array, but the difference with this in compared to map is map always returns the equal amount. The length of the original array and the mapped array will be same. However, in filter it can be 0, it can be all, or it can be just some like this. So it depends what logic. If we had, let's say, greater than 0, in that case we would have all of these. If we had greater than 8, for instance, we would have only 9. And if we had greater than 10, for example, we would have nothing. So that will be an empty array. So I hope you got the idea. Let's still keep it 4. And you see, this also you can achieve with for loop, and just like how I was doing it, and test array, and then this I is greater than 4, we would be pushing it to a new array. So let's say we would have let new array, and then if test array 0, so the first one will 1 is greater than 4, we will do new array dot push, and here we will be passing the same value here, so like this. And if we keep on doing this, and if we do console log with new array, then if we go here, you see we have 579. So basically the same thing. The reason why I did with for loop is so that you understand the concept. So you see what for loop does. For loop does is basically for each item, it compares, it checks this, and if this matches, it will push it to array, otherwise it does nothing. So the filter does same. I think now you already understood, so probably in other example I don't need to show this for anymore. So let's go here, and here we can call it let or const, doesn't matter. So I will have test array, and then you guessed it right, we will have filter. And just like we had it in map, we will also have something here. It can be item, it can be number, it can be person. You can give example, and I'm using a fat arrow function here again. So now what we want is we want to return if. So if number is greater than 4, it will return it. So we don't need to do if, we don't need to do anything. All we do is just return if number is. So this is same as if number is greater than 4, return number. So it's basically exactly the same thing, but let's just do here. Okay, so now if I save this, if you go back here, you see we have 579. So exactly the same thing, and that is what filter is about. And just like with map, let's also do a complex array example. Well, it won't be exactly complex, but I think we have our complex array somewhere here, so-called complex array. So let's copy and let's paste it here. So what we need to do, let's think of. So let's do that. Let's print a new array, and that array will have something. So the age will be greater than 20, greater than or equals to 20. So if you see, we have 36, we have 20, we have 70. So we return all these persons who are greater than or equals to 20 or greater than 19. Okay, so that's our requirement. So form a new array where the age of each person will be greater, so basically greater than or equals to 20. Okay, that's what we need. So in our case, we will get this one here, and then this one, and then this one. So that's what we need. So let's do basically the same thing. Let all people okay, not exactly, but let's call it. Okay, so that will be our complex array dot filter, and here we can do is we have person, and person dot age is greater than or equals to 20. So this is again the same thing, basically the same as if this. Let me enter this. If that's the case, then I'm telling that return that person. So when I say person, that means the whole object, because each item inside an array will be this person or whatever the name you will pass. Okay, earlier we had number because we had just number, and just to let you know, you can call this number also person. It really doesn't matter. Then you have to use the same variable here, and that's it. So, and now if everything is good, and okay, so now let's console log aged people. Okay, and that will be all people. So now if you see, we have the first one 579, even though we changed it from person to number, but let's just get back and make it number, or even just n. Okay, but we are focusing here with all people. So if we go here, and if you see here, so we have a 70, 20 and 36. So these three are there. So that is what the filter is doing. Okay, so but again, what I would like to do is, instead of all this, all I like to do is person is greater than equals to 20, and you see the result is same. Okay, with that I think now you are clear with filter. If not, you can definitely put it in the comment box and I will get back to you. But just like everything, I will also give you some task. Okay, so here this is a task, and the task is form a new array, and that new array where well, you form the new array from complex array. Okay, so with our complex array, so basically I meant to say this array, and what you need to do is you need to find the length of first name. Okay, so you see this string, the length of the string of the first name is where the length of the first name is greater than 3. Okay, we need that. So a little bit hint and also example. So for example, we are saying greater than 3, so that means greater than 3, not 3 but greater than 3. So Ani's first name has 1 2 3, so Ani will not be there, Chris will be there, Christ will be there, Daniel will be there, Vikas will be there. So 4 array. Okay, so how you can do the same thing, person and then person dot first name, and then the length of the string, and you can do it. So it's easy task for you, and with that our filter is also done. Let's go to reduce. Okay, so for that I will also again bring it back here, and let's go here. So what is reduce? We'll need it some point, so let's just put it there. So now we are here in reduce. This is done, this is also done, and we are here. Okay, so what reduce does is it gives you one value by reducing everything, by compressing everything to one. For example, if you pass array and do something reduce and give some logic, and it will fulfill that logic if possible, and it will give you one value. That value can be string, that value can be name, that value can be anything if you want. So let's go here and let's search reduce. Okay, so you see it has two things, accumulator and current value. Okay, and then here we are doing addition. Okay, so let's have the same scenario, same case. So what we want is, okay, so let's have 7. So we have 4. So what we want, let's say we want the sum of all numbers inside array. We want that. That means here if you see the sum will be 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7. So that will be sum, and that is 16. Okay, so we need something one value, and that is 16. How to get that? Okay, so just like our previous example, what we can do is we can say let sum, and initially we have 0, and then I will do for loop again, although I said I won't, but makes some sense here. So we have here, and again we have test array dot length, and then sorry, I'm kind of feeling sleepy, so if my tongue starts going here and there and if I sound a bit weird, bear with me. So what I need to do here is, now at first I have sum is 0, so what I need to do is I need to do sum is sum plus test array, and then I here. So what happens, at first our initial value of sum is 0, so 0 plus test array 1 will be 1. So the first will be, at first we will have 1, and now our sum value is 1. Okay, and then in the second round what happens is it will be sum will be 1 plus the value of test array, and this will be also, because our I will now change to 1 from 0, so it will be this 3, so it will be 3, so all together we'll have 4, and that 4 will be saved. And then the next round the initial value of sum will be 4, and then this will be added here 5, so 4 plus 5 9, and then the last one 9 plus 7 16. So if we now console log here, and if we do sum, and if we go back, and you see we have 16. Okay, so let's just do total sum is, and then we have, so total sum is 16. We have that. So we can do exactly the same thing with our reduce. Okay, so for that we need to go here and let's say const sum is test array dot reduce, and now reduce will always take two things, at least two items. So the one is let's do like that. Okay, so you see here the first one is accumulator and the second one is current value. So what is it? Okay, so one thing is this item, just like we were using in filter and map, this item, and another is, remember when we did for loop we had sum is 0, so initially we need something. So one item will be A and another will be B. You can call it just like it says here, accumulator and current value. That is okay. Let's just copy this and let's do it here. And what is happening here is actually let's just go and console log. So console log here, we didn't do that for filter and map, we could have done that. So let's call accumulator and let's print what is accumulator here, and then in another we can basically just console log the current value. So okay, so we have console log the current value, and then let's not do anything for now, we won't get anything in our sum. Okay, so but let's just go here and you see we have at first accumulator 1 and current value is 3, and accumulator is undefined and current value is 5, accumulator is undefined and current value is same, and total sum is undefined. Well, that is because we haven't written anything. And why is that happening? That is happening is because you see we are not adding anything. So initially what happens is that's why there is also a way that we can define some default value, and now that is initial value, you see. So if I save it, let's go and see. So our initial accumulator is 0. Previously our initial accumulator was 1. That is because if we don't provide any initial value, then it will take the first item of that array as the accumulator value. But if we define something like 0, then it will have that. So if we want to start with 5, then it will add 5 and then plus all this. So that's how, because remember when we were doing it, we like with our for loop we had like let sum is 0, so that value you can pass here. If we had sum already 5 in the beginning, we can do the same thing here. So but usually I don't even use it because mostly I want the same, of the initial value will be the same as this, the first item. Okay, so the reason why we are having this undefined is because we are not doing anything. So if we do return accumulator plus current value, so at first this is the accumulator and then it will let's see first if it will be 16 or 17, then we will check it out. So you see the total sum is 16. So first we have accumulator 1, the current value is 3, so that current value means this will be the second item because we don't have initial. But if I start from here 0, then you see accumulator will be 0 initially and the current value will be 1 because it will start from the 0 and then 0 plus 1, and then now we have accumulator 1 and it will see 1 plus 3, next time 4, and then 9 and 7 and 16. So that's how it goes. But if you don't give this, it will still do the same job, but it will just start from 1, and you see the total number is 16. But just for this is super big, so I would like to take it away and I will just like to call it accumulator and current value. You see this is again fat arrow function or arrow function, and you see total sum is 16. That's all we needed. So if we add, let's say 10 here, now we need 26 and we have 26. Okay, so that's how it is going. So usually how I do is I just do A and B and then I just call it A plus B. So just a minute, it requires this because we have 2 arguments. You see it's 26, and if I take this out, then it will become 16. So this is what you can do with reduce. And now let's try to utilize our complex array for this. Okay, so that's why I had it here, and let's cut it, and then there's something is done here. So let's go here, and what I want is I want what's the total total age of all people. So basically it's exactly the same kind of addition. The only difference here is I want the age, so it's just we go one step inside our object, that's all. So let's get like sum of all the people. Okay, so that I can call it sum of age, and that will be, so again we have our complex array dot reduce, and we have 2 items, you see, current value and accumulator. So let's say A and B, and what I want is, now you see initially, now we want that A dot, what we want is age plus B dot age. Okay, so that means this age and this age will be combined together, and we should get something. And now let's console log and sum of ages and sum of ages. So now if I go here, it says not defined. And why is that? And I was expecting that because that's not how we are supposed to do it. So the reason why I choose this example is so that I can apply all 3 things: map, filter, and reduce in the same example. So first let's try map and reducing, and then only in the second we will do map, reducing, and filter in the same one. Okay, so to solve this problem, what we can do is first we can map. Okay, so first map to get only age. Okay, so instead of having all these names here, we want only age, only age. So that will be an array which will have 12, 36, 18, basically the same kind of this array. So how can we do that? Well, let's do so that const array with age. Okay, so it will be our complex array dot map. Okay, so here we have person, and then let's go here and let's return an object. Actually, let's not return object. All we need to do is, we even don't need all this bucket, we just need person.age. So now and I can also console log this first. So let's see, only age array, sorry with my English and everything. Okay, and let's for now let's do this and let's do this. So now if we go here, you can see that we have a new array, and that array has only age, so 12, 36, 18, 20, 70, basically in the same order how we have it in complex array. Okay, so now you see we mapped it, and then what we can do is now we can call this sum of age, but instead of using complex array there, let's just use this one, and then with that we don't need anything. It basically is the same thing as what we already did here, you see. And now when we save it here, you see the sum of ages is 156. So we could solve it like this. And you know, if you want to make it interesting, what we can do is we can combine these two, but let's do that a little bit later. So let's say we have one more requirement, and requirement is that get sum of all the people who are above 20 years old. Okay, so from this array we want people, the sum of the age, but only of, not of all persons here, but only of those who meet our condition, and that is who are above 20 years old, not even equals to, but above. So we have only two, this 70 and this 36. So our total sum will be 106. So let's do that, and that's where we need to also do filter. Okay, so we can do map first and then filter, or we can do filter first and map. It's up to us. But so since we have already done mapping here, so let's filter after this. Okay, that is okay. So now I can say filtered with age greater than 20. So now this can be above, only above, okay, 20. Okay, so that will be, let's use this function because this has already only number. You know, we don't need everything now. If we needed to list all the people who were above 20, then of course we should first do filter and then only we map it. But in this case we just need to get the sum of them. We don't need to do anything with first name, last name, so we don't need whole object, so we can use already mapped items. So here all we need to do is we have array with age, and there you can filter, and when you filter we will get age, and we want age greater than 20. Okay, so we got that, and then let's also console log this. So age above 20 and only above 20. Okay, so we are printing this, and you see now we only have 36 and 70, and we don't have any other details, and we don't need that for now, at least. So now instead of doing this reduce for this, we can change it to this one. And now if I save it, you will see 106, because that's what we need, because that's the requirement. We need the sum of all the people who are above 20, so not of all but above 20. And you can see here I used map. I told you in the beginning of video I will map first and then filter and then reduce, and this is exactly what I'm doing. But now I will also show you a little bit of shortcut. So let's start from here. So what is this? Only above 20. Okay, so this is nothing than this, right? Is equals. So let's copy that and replace it here. Okay, that's all we are doing, just putting direct that value. And what is this? This is array with age, so basically this is this. So I copy that and instead of this I paste it here. So this way you see, first we mapped, then we filter, then we reduce, and we get the sum of edges, and if everything is all right, we will be getting 106 here, and you saw we got it. All right, so with this all, I think you now have a pretty solid foundation about what is Array.map, what is Array.filter, and what is Array.reduce. So I'm not going to give you any example for reduce, but if you want, you can create a long text with first name and last name of everyone, or any condition you would like to. But this is, I think, if you practice this pretty nicely, and if you somehow got into the level that you can understand all these things pretty nicely, which is pretty simple and easy, if you have been following me, then I think you have now a very good foundation about map, filter, and reduce. So thank you everyone for watching this video or following until here. And if you made this so far, then hit the like button, subscribe my channel, and definitely I will be coming with more and more videos in future. With that being said, thank you again, and keep coding.